Okay, hello, it's August the 29th and this is a historical time capsule because today is a very important day and that's why I'm here with my friend Bob Fisher, who you can see just there. And the reason it's a very important day is, well, can you tell them why it's an important day, Bob?
Today sees the screening of the final ever episode of Last of the Summer Wine, which is a series that we both love to bits. I've sort of lost touch a bit with it in recent years, but been watching a fair bit of this recent series knowing it was the last one. So looking forward to this in a sort of bittersweet fashion.
You know, more of the same really is all I'm expecting. No great dramatic finale, no helicopter crashes or, I don't know, plagues that wipe off the entire cast.
Yeah, I think Roy Clark has said, hasn't he, that it's a low-key finale to it. Which is sort of in fitting with the series, I guess. I mean, it's a fairly low-key series. I think I would have liked to have seen one special finale episode, like a standalone thing, to wrap it all up. And it should have been centred around Clegg, because Peter Sallis has done every single episode of this for the last 37 years. But we're being judgmental here, we haven't seen it yet, so maybe that is kind of what we'll get, who can tell?
It's only going to be about 2 minutes. How long? What time is it?
Oh, it's about 5 to 8, isn't it?
It's about 5 to 8, just to get, precise historical detail there.
Yeah.
Back when people in 100 years' time check for these records.
Yeah.
So you can rejoin us in half an hour.
35 minutes.
35 minutes. Once we've watched the entire credits in silence, crying, and we'll let you know what we actually think. Just this minute come to the end of the very last of the Summer Wine. Everyone sort of came together for a wedding. They were all in the same set. Even Frank Thornton and Peter Sallis, who don't get involved with the main plot a lot these days because of age and insurance. But then it petered out. It just stopped without anything really happening. There was no sense of closure particularly. And it seemed a shame because at one point Pearl said to the bus driver, "Can you take us to a nice restaurant?" And I thought, oh, it might end in the cafe. It might end going to the cafe because we haven't seen Ivy yet. And she was absent from the entire episode, which was a real shame because she has been in the rest of the series so far. But no, it just ended with them en route to the nice restaurant, driving through the countryside, which was nice perhaps because part of the appeal of the show is the Holmfirth countryside. And it ended on a laugh.
I know Roy Clark said that he intended that to be the final episode when he wrote it. Having seen it, I'm not entirely convinced by that. Oh, maybe it was. I mean, he said he wanted to finish it as low-key as it ever started, which is, entirely fair enough. And so maybe he did write it thinking, okay, we'll just no big finales. Let's just finish the episode. As I'd finish any other episodes, which is kind of fitting. I think I would have liked to have seen something a bit more final though, but that's just me. But it had some nice moments in it. I thought the same as you, Mr. Smith. I thought when they were heading for the restaurant, we were going to get a final scene in the cafe with Ivy, and it was a shame that Ivy wasn't in the episode because she's been such a pivotal character over the last 37 years, and I thought it would have just rounded it off beautifully. We had one final scene in the cafe with Clegg back in the cafe as well, because he clearly was kind of there with the rest of the cast. But yeah, I thought it was nice to have the Howard and Pearl storyline came to a really nice conclusion, I thought, where Howard, possibly for the first time ever I've ever seen, he seemed to recognise that he had been in a pretty nice marriage and he'd been well looked after for the last 50 years, however long they've been married. I thought that was really nicely done. And it was lovely to see Peter Sallis get the final line in the whole thing as well, which was, "Did I lock the door?" which he'd repeated throughout the episode, which was kind of nicely Clegg-like.
There was a nice feeling actually that when the characters did all come together and they were in the bar before the wedding, there was a sort of, they were on one set, there was lots of toing and froing, and it had a sort of almost an old school sitcom kind of feel to it. There were a couple of slapstick gags with people getting hit in the groin. Trevor Bannister, of course, being an expert at that.
I tell you what, as an old school sitcom fan, it was really nice to see Trevor Bannister and Frank Thornton on the same set together again.
Mentioning the bus trip earlier and how I thought they'd end up in the... Oi, up here. Mentioning how I thought they'd end up in the cafe. Well, the bus was, driving off into the sunset at the end, and they didn't say where they were going. So in my head, Last of the Summer Wine does end in the cafe.
I think that might be the intention, actually, mightn't it?
And it's not like they get to the cafe as in Ashes to Ashes and it's the afterlife. and Combo walks out and waves them in. No, they just go to the cafe, they have a sticky bun and a cup of tea out of a saucer, and everything's just lovely and stays the same forever. What
I actually want to do now is go back and watch it from the start. I'd like to see...
Are we brave enough?
Are we the men to do this, Mr. Smith? I think we are. I think we've got this in us. We'll be the age of, by the time we've finished, we'll be Frank Thornton and Peter Sallis.
Full circle. How did you want it to end? You don't want it to end here?
Dogs never want anything to end. They like stability in their lives.